Hello, everyone, and welcome to our session where we will be talking about an exciting topic, the art of creative reuse and repurposing. My name is Kenneth Hurta. I'm the Director of Sales Engineering at Brandfolder, and I'm happy to speak with you about a topic that we cover with our customers very often, and that is the art of reusing creative instead of unnecessarily creating something new.
And I'm Sean Carty, Director of Product Marketing here at Brandfolder. I've spent the last 5 years learning from marketers and creatives how they get stuff done and get the most for their marketing spend. And I'm excited to share with you some of the insights I've learned.
And I'm Sarah Chatterton. I'm the Director of Marketing for EMEA for Smartsheet, based in London. And I've spent 4.5 years working now with Smartsheet and a couple of years working with the Brandfolder team. I'm really excited to talk with you about our joint story.
Awesome. So who are we and why should you listen to us? Brandfolder and Smartsheet are leaders in our particular industries, providing world-class solutions for both digital asset management and collaborative work management. Smartsheet acquired Brandfolder in 2020 with the vision of creating a dynamic and differentiated solution that manages workflows around content and collaboration. We are both homes for brands, big and small, all over the world, and consistently ranked as leaders and top performers by third-party software reviewers.
So we ran a survey earlier this year and over 1,000 marketers responded. And they indicated that more than half of their companies are wasting time and money on assets that go unused. And that's to say nothing of asset reuse itself. And it's really no wonder. One thing that we often see when our customers come to us is that marketers and creatives are struggling because their assets are spread across multiple platforms. So whether they're cloud storage, local or network drives, SharePoint, legacy DAMs, or email. And each of these tends to fall down individually as teams and assets count scale. And it's really common that we see at an individual customer multiple instances of each of these. And so ultimately, as marketers, we're tasked with getting the most for our marketing dollars. And in order to do that, when we spend time and money creating content, we need to be sure that it can be used as much as possible.
First and foremost, you need a DAM that is going to be adopted. This seems obvious, but DAMs are only as valuable when people use them. And ROI is directly tied to usage. We see that many organizations struggle mightily with gaining adoption of their DAM solution and their workflow solution. And we found that DAM projects failing has a real impact on a business. Without a good, highly adopted DAM, your teams are spending a significant amount of extra time searching, managing, and fielding repetitive requests for assets. This is time away from creating amazing customer experiences and allowing teams to focus on high-value work that really drives the business. Ultimately, this often leads to inconsistent branding, which can result in a 25% revenue hit for your business. Efficiency in workflows and collaboration truly suffers without a central source of truth for your assets. So how do you get good adoption, and how do you get your DAM adopted? Well, let's first start with the things to avoid. If we look on the left, we have top 3 reasons adoption fails. 1, failure to launch. It never got off the ground. This is most often a result of implementation and deployment process being too complex and cumbersome. It's also exacerbated by software owners and admins not dedicating enough time and attention to the onboarding process. Second, organizational chaos, or the DAM became chaos after 1 year. A lot of times this is due to lack of support, maintenance, and care. Modern DAMs have a lot of functionality that automate manual actions that humans used to have to do. That said, a human touch is still important to maintain the DAM's hygiene and keep it usable over time. And finally, we have just poor usage over time. Adoption can often fail as a result of employee resistance, lack of stakeholder buy-in, and poor communication. Underneath that, we also see just some factors a little more tactical for DAM disaster here on the screen. So enough with the doom and gloom. How do we overcome these challenges? We see a few areas here on the right. One thing that we see as primary importance is an intuitive user design and user experience. A highly usable DAM is how efficiency is gained, brand consistency is ensured, and assets are used to maximize investment. And when you're looking at DAMs on the market, nobody's going to tell you their design is bad. but it becomes clear once you start using it and seeing the details. And really focus on user experience as a culture that should be shared across all of the engineering, product, and teams within a company. It has to be the main lens that they view the product through. Finding a natural fit within your current workflows is really important. Some of the features that support this are things like share links, CDN links, open integration strategies, looking for solutions that are going to make your workflows more efficient rather than trying to change your workflow to fit in with the tool. A flexible organization structure is incredibly important. It shouldn't feel forced. Look for solutions that have a folder agnostic solution, a metadata driven, something that's not heavy-handed filters, and that also has plugins and APIs that can create flexibility very easily. And then finally, AI and automation. A lot of DAMs have table stakes AI like auto tagging. The good ones take it even further with things like optical character recognition, content suggestions, duplicate similar detection, and automation that can truly create rules that make some of these other areas easier for you without any human intervention. And all of these can really lead to adoption over time as they automate some of the human hand in the DAM experience and help cure some of the reasons that adoption fails in the first place.
Awesome. Thanks, Kenneth. So, you need first and foremost a system that promotes adoption so that people use it. And once they're using that system, you need to think about discoverability and how easy it is to find the right asset at the right time. Now, in the same survey that I mentioned earlier, we asked how much time teams are spending just looking for that right asset. And can you believe that on average, teams are spending 91 hours per week searching for those assets? And now think back to those siloed, disparate systems where asset sprawl and chaos sets in. Similarly, our data tells us that it's possible to cut this time about in half. Just think of those efficiency gains. So to cut down on that time searching, there are some critical things to consider when storing your assets. The first is AI-derived metadata. And this allows you to tag assets at scale, indexing their content for search. The next is taxonomy, and that's how you organize and classify assets in ways that make sense for your business. Now, once you have your assets tagged and your taxonomy figured out, you need to give people that are searching for assets a way to filter or narrow down results. Now, this is particularly useful. However, Kenneth did mention earlier that you want non-heavy-handed filtering so that you don't overly restrict the results when someone is searching for those assets. Now, once you've got your assets findable and filtered, you need a visual interface with asset previews so that those searchers can identify them by sight. And that's really a very quick way to find the right asset rather than having to click into something or download it and open it. And then once you've got all that figured out, you can create curated experiences. And those are purpose-built subsets of assets to start with, only the most relevant ones for either a project or a team or a partner or what have you. And then finally, you need to be able to discover content within work streams. And this really promotes asset reuse as a reflex rather than a deliberate action. And we'll talk a little bit more about process in a moment, but discoverability is also the first step in our next key element, which is self-service.
Thanks, Sean. So now let's consider the importance of self-service. Without doubt, creatives, marketers alike both benefit from being able to self-serve when it comes to reusing assets. The same survey also highlighted that they spend around 37% of their time on requests that could be automated. So this already saps their creative time, burns teams out. They're usually already stretched really thin. So how can we help them to alleviate this problem? No matter which country you're in or where you're operating, your brand should be recognized and reacted to in the same way. So the creative assets need to take into account differences via different regions, countries, languages, but still stay true to your core brand. Even if you're operating in the same country, you might want to consider addressing different audiences or personas or different activity types that will require customization. By using self-service, and not only that, but making that self-service easy to customize, then it easily avoids sapping more creative request time. You need to have templates so that people can access these and take brand. You need to have templates so that we can keep brand consistency and people can self-serve much easier. And also renditions, which is how we refer to resizing, cropping, or reformatting of assets. Marketers often need to customize assets in this way to optimize them for the various channels or the media in which they'll be used in. And again, this leads to high volumes of requests to their creative teams. But this is exactly the kind of things that computers are good at. And with the AI that Sean mentioned as well, you can even identify focal points in an image to crop them automatically without losing the meaning of the asset. So by working directly in the platform, you can store multiple versions of the asset to keep track of your past work. You can empower non-creatives to customize content and improve everyone's productivity for efficient, repeatable work.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. So now we're going to talk about sort of our final key element and bringing all of these things together in process. And I mentioned previously that the ability to discover content in work streams is critical for promoting asset reuse. Unfortunately, a lot of marketers have workflows that look something like this. Systems are siloed and disconnected from each other. Content is usually an afterthought and requires, at minimum, productivity sapping, context switching to access. To truly bring asset reuse to the next level, work and digital asset management need to live in the center of your tech stack and work in tandem, with tie-ins not only to where assets are used, but also where they're tracked and created. Integrations between the two, digital asset management and work management, with your critical tools are essential. And these can be accomplished in a number of ways, either through natively built integrations by your solution vendors, by custom developed integrations using the APIs, or using platforms like Zapier, which aggregate APIs for multiple common tools and the integrations and actions and data flows between them. So let me reiterate this one point as well. It's not always the endpoints where asset reuse should happen. It's also critical to give creatives the option to reuse assets easily within their design tools. And this ensures that asset reuse starts upstream when building new assets that can be reused over and over again. This will cut down on creative cycle time and ensure that your team is getting the most bang for their buck with each asset that's created. Sarah, this next point in considering process is really interesting and something that you brought up when we were putting content together for this webinar.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. And I couldn't agree with you more on your last point there around reuse within the creative process. But one of the things that we found our main pain points was that with the multiple stakeholders that I previously mentioned that can be involved in the approvals process, combined with the not insignificant time pressures of getting your next campaign out of the door, you have to have a system in place that will help you quickly make sure that any customizations are approved, quickly have a simple way to provide feedback, clear feedback, and ensure brand consistency again, and have a really clear approvals path. This often wasn't the case for us, and we were falling over ourselves sometimes or unsure which version was approved and which wasn't. So by being able to combine these with the workflow management system, we've really been able to save ourselves a lot of time and actually hit those deadlines of getting assets out the door. So we've talked here around the key elements that Kenneth mentioned at the beginning of this session of asset reuse. And ultimately, the main benefits of this reuse are taking advantage of the combined DAM and work management. But firstly, without doubt, there's the increase in potential ROI by having your assets reused multiple times, either throughout the creative process or as an end product. Then consistency in the work created and the brand identity, ensuring that you're having a constant brand across the globe or even in one country. Time savings, which is not to be discarded at all, but not just from the creative team, but your entire workforce and your partners when it comes to looking for assets to use. Reduction in workload, I actually recently held an interview where a candidate commented on using Brandfolder and Smartsheet had helped her reduce media requests by a certain number of hours per week, enabling her to focus on more strategy work. And then finally, the ability to self-serve and use the right assets can be a major boost to employee morale. And customization and quick approvals can be extremely empowering.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. So I'd like to kind of wrap us up with an example, and I'd invite you to check out our website to read more about this. But Water for People is one of our customers. They're doing some really amazing things around the globe, bringing clean water to people that need it. And they've used Brandfolder to create templates to promote asset reuse at their internal and external partners around the globe for fundraising. And so what they'll do is they'll create these posters that then, people around the world can customize for their individual fundraising needs. And this really promotes the reuse of the assets that were created to create these flyers in the first place, and then brand consistency, which was a huge problem for them before they adopted Brandfolder. So thanks again, everybody, for joining our webinar. Feel free to reach out to us if you're interested in digital asset management. If you're inspired to learn more, we've got a really awesome report that we put together. Some of the stats from this webinar are mentioned in this webinar are from this report. It's the 2022 State of DAM. And you can find that on our resources section of our website, along with a whole bunch of other awesome content. Or check out our Duo case study and learn how their creative ops are using Brandfolder to promote asset reuse and streamline localization. Finally, stop by our booth to enter into our giveaway. So you can enter for a chance to win $100 in either EasyJet or Hotels.com credit. And while you're there, feel free to chat with us about any questions you might have. So thanks again, and hope to see you there.